We go through this every year. You know perfectly well what holiday it is.
Okay. Happy Halloween, everybody. Whoopee.
Row 18, plot 20.
Hey everybody, welcome to Now It's Dark. I'm Jim, the animated version. Today we're going to be talking about an article that was published recently on MovieWeb, and it is the 15 greatest sci-fi horror movies of all time. This story was done by John Whittu, and let's take a look at what these 15 sci-fi horror films are. Science fiction and horror are often treated like separate genres, but plenty of classic films prove they work together quite well. These are the horror stories where deadly robots, aliens, and other horrific man-made creations take the place normally reserved for ghosts and ghouls. These horror stories look to the future but see new, unrealized dangers, often on a global scale, that may one day await humanity. Often experiments either go wrong or scientific studies conducted at a gruesome expense. Sometimes traditional monsters exist, but their existence comes from a perversion of science instead of the supernatural. Zombies, for example, could be the result of serums, chemicals, and cybernetics. Some split the difference. Ghosts can exist, but they possess machinery. In stories with science fiction trappings, however, the real horror isn't necessarily monsters, but often human hubris. These are the best sci-fi horror films ranked, according to MovieWeb. Our first entry is the 2018 A Quiet Place. John Krasinski is not just a great actor, he is also a formidable director, and his second effort in A Quiet Place proved that to be true. Krasinski stars in the film alongside Emily Blunt and a talented pair of child actors, Noah Jupe and Miley Simmons, in a post-apocalyptic nightmare where total silence means survival and noise means fate. Most of humanity has been wiped out in this frustrating hellscape. The second entry is the 2007 The Mist. The Mist takes place in a low-populated town located in Maine, where the main characters live with their two kids. It is based on the 1980 Stephen King novella of the same name. As implied by the film and book's title, there is a storm that strikes the surrounding area, which leaves the residents holed up together in order to stay safe. The storm is not what it seems. Creatures set on hunting and killing them show up as a result of it, and they are suddenly thrust into a fight for their livelihood. Our third entry is Splice from 2009. Entirely disturbing and wholly interesting in concept, Splice is probably one of the more gruesome films on this list. It is a refreshing take on the Frankenstein genre of science fiction horror, genetic engineers splicing together DNA of various species with humans so they can be exploited for medical purposes. The story stresses concerns regarding the ethics and morality surrounding genetic engineering and toying around with sentient life as an almighty creator. A Cure for Wellness, 2017. A Cure for Wellness is a horror film influenced by the 1924 Thomas Mann novel The Magic Mountain. Lockhart, a young executive, is tasked with fetching CEO Roland Pembroke from a wellness center in the Swiss Alps. Things already seem suspicious when staff refuse to let Lockhart even speak with the CEO. When he tries to leave, however, he gets caught in an accident and finds himself back in the spa wearing a cast. Our fifth entry is the 1956 classic Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a 1956 black and white film using a film noir influenced style based on the novel The Body Snatchers. A man kept in custody in a Los Angeles hospital recounts the story through flashbacks. The town of Santa Mira is filled with people who claim their loved ones have been replaced with imposters. Physician Miles Bennell attributes this to a mass delusion. Our sixth entry is Cube from 1997. Cube is a 1997 film known for its surreal, cube-shaped settings. 5 people, each with a different skill, find themselves in such a room, having no memory of how they ended up there. There are other rooms, but entering them can lead to instant death, from acid to being sliced into cubes. The 7th movie on the list is The Invisible Man from 2020. The Invisible Man is based on the book by H.G. Wells, a classic piece of literature. When done right, it is not surprising a film adaptation has the potential to reach the same heights and overall greatness. An abusive man takes his own life and leaves behind his fortune to his ex, the abused Cecilia. Everything seems normal at first, but Cecilia begins to suspect that it is one big hoax in order to get back at her for leaving him. The 8th movie on the list is Crimes of the Future from 2022. David Cronenberg is touted as the king of science and body horror by fans of the genre, and Crimes of the Future is yet another example of why, in his storied career in crimes, humans have undergone massive physical changes, mutations, and adaptations that have allowed them to prosper in a synthetic environment. Unlike the first version that came out decades ago, this iteration deals with the themes of body modification and argues whether the government has the right to decide what people do with their own bodies. The 9th film on this list is The Cabin in the Woods from 2011. The Cabin in the Woods is a 2011 film that offers a more comedic take on the science fiction horror genre. The plot starts with 5 friends going to a remote cabin for a brief vacation. However, the cabin is being controlled by engineers in a hidden laboratory, forcing the characters to act out a typical horror movie. The 10th movie on MovieWeb's list is The Fly from 1958. The Fly is a 1958 film based on a short story of the same name. A scientist, Andre Delabray, is found dead in Montreal, and his wife confesses to the crime, but keeps her motive a secret. Eventually, the story is shared in a flashback. Andre was working on developing a matter transporter device. One day, after building a device large enough to accommodate humans, he becomes reclusive, hiding in his head and hand under cloth and refusing to use verbal communication. It comes to light that a fly was in the device when Andre tried it out. The 11th movie listed is the 1985 movie Reanimator. Reanimator is a horror comedy film loosely based on H.P. Lovecraft's Herbert West Reanimator. Medical student Dan King rents a room to Herbert West, who claims to have found a way to revive dead tissue, going so far as to bring a cat back to life. When attempts to share these findings with the university only get Kane and West thrown out, the two sneak in to revive a corpse to prove themselves. Unfortunately, the dead body becomes a zombie-like being and kills a staff member who is similarly revived as one of the undead. The Thing from 1982 is the 12th movie on MovieWeb's list. The Thing is a film adaptation of John W. Campbell's Who Goes There? Set around an Antarctic research camp in 1982. 12 men at the American camp learn that a neighboring Norwegian base has been destroyed and filled with corpses. After coming across an extraterrestrial spacecraft, the Americans soon learn that a deadly alien is on the loose. The 13th film on the list is Godzilla from 1954. Godzilla is not only one of the most well-known kaiju, or giant monster films, but is often considered one of the first. A mysterious light destroys a fishing boat. Soon, another similar vessel suffers similar fates, inspiring reporters to investigate the story. A village elder fears that Godzilla, the island god, is behind it all. Our 14th entry on the list is Frankenstein from 1931. Frankenstein is a 1931 film based on Mary Shelley's classic 1818 novel, though taking much influence from stage versions. Notably, Shelley's book is considered one of the first science fiction novels, as well as one of the first science fiction horror stories. Henry Frankenstein, with the help of his assistant Fritz, has become obsessed with a single desire: to create life. Rounding out the list of 15 is Alien from 1979. This film is set in the year 2122 aboard the spaceship USCSS Nostromo. The crew receives a distress call from a mysterious moon. While there, one crew member gets attacked by an alien being, which attaches itself to the victim's face and traps them in a coma. An alien emerges from the crew member's chest and matures into a threatening monster, a xenomorph, aboard the ship. Its goal is to take down the remaining crew members one by one. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of MovieWeb's top 15 sci-fi horror movies. Did one of your favorite sci-fi horror movies make this list? If not, what was it? Leave it in the comments down below. Thank you for watching Now It's Dark. Continue to come back to the channel for more Halloween shenanigans all through October 2023.